Hey guys, this is Hamon, and welcome back to Bytesize Summer, the show where I review games that have a chilled and relaxing vibe. And today we're going to be talking about Peak. This is the latest game that was made by Aggrocrab with cooperation from Landfall, who made games such as Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, Totally Accurate Battle Royale, and various other things. And this is honestly a brilliant game in all essence. So the story goes, you're one of 4 scouts, depending if you're doing multiplayer or not, that have crash landed on an island. And the whole idea is to get to the peak so that you can get rescued and all that. That's literally it. Along the way, you're going to go across various biomes in order to reach said spot, while finding various food to eat and such. But I'll get more into that in the mechanics section. All in all, it's a really fun game, especially if you're playing with other people. To get right into it, graphic-wise, it's very nice. Like with most Aggrocrab games, they have a very simplistic but very complex type of design. Like, the characters themselves are very simplistic in their design, like their rounded head, not too many like complexities to their thing. Like, even the character creation is very simplistic. Like, you just change the eyes, the face, the mouth in just the clothes. Like, there's nothing really too much to it. Not much else. In terms of the backgrounds and all that and the environment, it's all really nicely done. However, there's a caveat to that, because apparently on the day one thing before they patched it out, going to the tropics, if you had an AMD graphics card or something with AMD, I guess it crashed. Although I personally fixed it by simply just getting off a full screen. Yeah, before the patch, I guess that would have been the solution, if anything. Like, I just figured it out and I was able to go through the tropics for a degree. But yeah, it was fun. It was nice. It looked nice. You have various places, by the way. You have, starting off with the shore, which is this nice little starting point where you find things like coconuts, crisp berries, and all that stuff. Palm trees, these hexagonal stones, which I'm sure is a reference to the ones that are in real life, and bridges. Then you have the tropics, like I think I mentioned it in the problem that arose at the very start of the game's release. The tropics has more tropical environment type of thing. You have like these big old vines that are growing around the rocks. You have fungus. You have spore clusters. You have these trees that are more umbrella-like, and you have rain going on. But again, that's going to be talked about in mechanics. Then you have the Alpine, which is a snowy area where you have to deal with things like blizzards, and again, gonna have to go with that through that in the mechanics. You have trees that are pine trees, you know, like the coniferous type or deciduous type. I'm deciduous. That's what it is. Deciduous trees. Some of them have these winter berries and all that. Then you have the caldera, which is a volcano. And finally, you have the inside of the caldera before reaching the peak. And all of it is designed wonderfully, with one caveat which will lead me into mechanics. See, the main mechanic, as the game suggests, as I explained earlier, you need to climb to the peak. The trouble is, the island changes every 24 hours, like IRL. So no 2 islands are the same day by day. Sure, you may come across some islands that may have a similar layout at one point or another, like maybe that one thing has a big tree that you can climb up of, but it might actually be in a whole other location. Like, instead of being on the right, it could be in the middle, it could be higher, it could be lower. Those kind of things can be changed through every single 24-hour period. So you have to go through it again. But at least your progress isn't reset, in a sense. It's basically just try to get up the peak within 24 hours of this current island. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder, but that's the fun of it, because as you progress through the day, going through this island, you're learning each and every step. You're scouting the area and all that. And so whether you're playing it on solo or if you're playing on multiplayer, you're gonna learn how the island is. and it's brilliant for that. Now, to explain the other thing, you have the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild stamina as you're climbing. Not the little wheel, I'm just saying that you have a stamina that as you're climbing goes down as you use it. However, the main difference of this mechanic is that it can be affected by various things, such as weight of items that you're carrying, food, basically hunger. You have weather effects such as the blizzards in the Alpine, or poison if you eat certain fruits. Which, by the way, the best way to tell if a fruit is good or not in some cases, as an example, there are certain fungus that you may come across. Now, there's these ones that are called button caps that you can tell which one is the good one if they have a cross on top of them. Various other ones might be fine as well. I'm not entirely sure which ones are. I just know that the one for those particular ones, yes. And then in terms of the fruit, it depends on which fruit you're looking at. Crisp berries have actually two good ones. The red one helps your hunger, but the yellow one increases your stamina, as in it gives you temporary stamina as well. Yeah, definitely keep an eye out for those. And to explain temporary stamina really quickly, basically if you eat something that gives you that thing, whether it's a yellow crisp berry or an energy drink, or, well, no, it's sports drink I'm really thinking of. Energy drink has a whole other thing. If you drink a sports drink, you get this temporary stamina that once your real stamina goes away, this bar goes down, giving you a little extra time to climb or whatever you're doing at the moment. So it's stuff to bear in mind when you're doing certain actions, such as mostly climbing, really. And actually, to mention this, since I just mentioned the sports and energy drink, there are, in all the levels, there's these luggages strewn about the place that are likely from the crash of the plane, that, when you open them, reveal various objects. Whether it's food, whether it's these cannons, like a rope cannon or a chain cannon, that can help you throughout your whole thing. And there are power-up items that have a negative effect for being used. The energy drink, for example, gives you more energy, which I believe helps you get faster, but makes you sleepy. Same thing with what is the big lollipop. That one gives you basically Super Mario Star effect, like your energy doesn't go down at all, and you just keep going with it. But once it wears off, you also get very tired from it. And that's not even going into the altar that you find at the top of each level that grants you a mystical item, which those have various effects to it as well, such as the Pandora's Lunchbox, which apparently can either help you or hurt you. And I used it once, it hurt me, so I was like, nope, I'm not going through this again. All in all, this game is brilliant for everything, from the environment to the items to just the fun you can have, whether being a helpful scout or being a total jerk and doing crap that hinders your friends and all that just for the laughs. And honestly, that kind of leads me into a whole thing. Apparently people are complaining about some these games like this, whether it's Content Warning, Repo, Lethal Company, or Peak, that is basically something called friend slop, where you're literally making this game to get clout and all that from folks that play the game and all that. I honestly feel like that would be the best thing for your game, because sure, playing single player games, that all that is great and all, but there's only so many moments in those games that get a reaction out of it, whether intentional or unintentional. These games, it's random when something silly happens. So honestly, I feel like it's best that sometimes the developers make games like this. Like, I mean, hell, Aggrocrab made 3 really great games, with Going Under, Another Crab's Treasure, and the third one I forget at this point because it's been a while, so do forgive me for that, Aggrocrab. I do love all your games, but it's a little hard to bring it back up on the top of my head. I'll probably put it in editing. But either way, Aggrocrab came out with so many great games that are for the most part single player. And this, with being that it's also in conjunction with Landfall, who have made multiplayer games, makes it brilliant. And freaking Landfall has had at least one brilliant moment, because Russian Badger at least gave us some very great highlights when he played it back in the day. But regardless, the game is really great. I definitely recommend it to anyone that wants to have a good time, great laughs, or want an interesting challenge. The game is available on Steam, and at this point, at the time of this recording, they do not plan to release it to console just yet. They said themselves that they want to make sure that it is optimized at its best for Steam before considering going into the consoles space. So yeah, but with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Check out my social media so you know when I post more stuff, whether it's art, my ramblings, or when I stream, or when I put up animatics on my TikTok. But regardless, once more, thank you for watching. Hope to see you again. Bye!